Good evening, good evening, good evening. We are live again with Women Who Win. I am so excited that you guys are joining us again tonight. I am Tammy Carpenter of Simply Tammy, and I have another wonderful guest that I will be talking to tonight. So as you come in, please jump in the comments, say hello to us, and share the video. My guest tonight is Emme Smith. So I'm going to read her bio before I bring her on. So Emme Smith is the founder of the Parent Pal, and she's the lead therapist at Grace-Based Counseling Group. She is a counselor, a coach, an author, an activist, and a self-proclaimed superhero mom. After learning of her son's ADHD diagnosis in 2010, Emme has propelled full throttle into the world of advocacy, coining the quote, "Learning disabilities are simply superpowers waiting to be developed." As a therapist, Emme's goal is to normalize therapy in the workplace, promoting mental wellness and removing barriers to consistent mental health. We're going to give you some information towards the end on how you can contact her. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her on the screen. Hello, 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 Emme. Can you hear me? So I cannot hear you. And while you're doing that, I'm going to try to go share the video again because it gave me a little grief earlier while you're getting your headset options squared away. Still can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Is it your headset?
I think so. So I just went ahead and took those off.
Okay. So I'm going to tag you in the post that I shared. If you just give me a moment, because it gave me a little grief earlier, and we're not gonna. As you guys are coming in, please say hi to us in the comments. This is our fourth Women Who Win segment. It has been a tremendous month. So thank you, Em, for helping us conclude and round out the month as our guest. So let me do one more thing with this video. Learning all this good technology, but we gonna work it on out. Okay. All right. Back in the studio. Okay, so we have Brandy that's saying hello, Gail that's saying hello, Arisha, Shahara, hello ladies. Thank you guys for joining. I will go ahead and announce we are doing a giveaway again tonight. The giveaway tonight is a bio creation service from Emme Smith. She is, among many things, she is the owner of MYB Publishing Company, and one of the services she offers is bio creation. So if you are trying to write a book, you're trying to rebrand yourself, you just need an updated bio that reads well, represents you well, so that when people request your information from you, you can share that out. M offers that service, so that's going to be our giveaway tonight. And you don't have to be local. I know my last two giveaways have been for businesses here in the area. So although M is in the upstate, this gift can be for anybody from anywhere. So hey Miko, thank you for joining in. I read M's bio, and I think you and I met maybe 2-3 years ago. I think someone referred you to me for formatting, and then from then we eventually met in person, and kind of developed a friendship and sisterhood from there. So business turned into a fruitful relationship. So I'm glad that your book and my business kind of allowed our paths to cross. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me. You know, when you reached out to me, okay, girl, please. But I'm honored to be here. I'm looking forward to just chatting.
Yes, yes. So thank you so much for saying yes. So when I met you, you were releasing your book, A is for Advocacy, based off of the business that you have for the Parent Pal. So I want to kind of back up a little bit because I learned that before you launched that business, you actually were a high school counselor.
Yeah.
How long did you do that, and what lessons did you walk away with from that experience?
Ironically enough, I became a high school counselor again, because of my children, believe it or not. So,
Okay.
I started on that journey when I was working as a housing employment counselor, actually. And I had a lot of
Hmm.
people coming in to me asking me questions about their children and how to get them, on the right path in school. And I found myself just kind of coaching them through the process, just, talking across the desk. This is what you need to say. This is what you need to ask. And I
Okay.
found myself coaching people in the process. So my brother, ironically enough, he was like, you know what, you will be an awesome principal. I said, principal? I don't know about
Mhm.
that. But I started looking into education. If I back up a little bit further, I began my career in education as a special education teacher.
Oh wow.
People know that. But I started fresh out of college, do not have an education degree. My very first professional job was as a special education teacher. And needless to say, it was not for me. I love
Okay.
but I did not enjoy, being in the classroom and the curriculum piece of it. So I got out of education. So
Okay.
full circle, when I decided to go back as a high school counselor. I knew the classroom wasn't for me, but I
Mm.
completely enjoyed the kids. So I became a high school counselor. I did that for 2 years. Absolutely loved every minute of my children. Um,
Wow.
in my experience there, what I found was that the biggest lesson I would say that I learned from that is that there is a disproportionate number of brown children in the top class rankings. And
Mm.
I found myself asking why? Why is that? And
Okay.
what I found during that time there is that simply we don't advocate like our counterparts do. And that's
Mm.
where A is for Advocacy was birthed from, uh,
Okay.
showing people what advocacy looks like.
Okay. So, according to your bio, you launched the Parent Pal in 2010. So that's almost 10 years ago. And part of your push for that is because your son was diagnosed with ADHD. Talk about that journey that led up to the diagnosis initially, and then we'll segue into how did that go from I have this diagnosis and to help my child and to extend my help, I'm now going to launch the Parent Pal and advocate for other parents.
Right. So it kind of goes back to what I was saying. I just found myself, once I got my son's diagnosis, I jumped headfirst into research and finding out what ADHD is, what it means, what resources are available for him. And the only reason why I knew to do that is because of my experience as a special education teacher, number one. And
Okay.
two, my time in the high school. So I just kind of jumped headfirst into it and did a lot of research, which in turn allowed me to share that knowledge with
Mm-hmm.
many of my friends and family members and those I encountered. So once I saw that more and more people were coming to me and what I was telling them was actually working, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, maybe I'm operating in my purpose. This is where I'm supposed to be. So working
Mm-hmm.
for the school, being an advocate, it was kind of like a conflict of interest, if you will, because as a school employee, I can't work for the parent as well. So
Okay.
there was a conflict. I decided to launch the Parent Pal because that's where my passion lies, right? I wanted to um, make a change. I wanted to make a difference. I knew there was like I said, disproportionate number of brown children in the top class rankings, and I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to change that. I wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt that the way I could do that is through the Parent Pal and just sharing my knowledge and my experience of what it looks like to advocate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what talk us through what does that look like? So if a parent comes to you and they have a child that's been diagnosed, or maybe your own personal experience, what did it look like to advocate for your own child?
Ironically enough, with Aids for Advocacy, I wanted to simplify the act of advocacy. When you hear advocate for your child, oftentimes what parents think is, I got to be a stay-at-home mom. I got to have extra time on my hands. I got to be able to be at the school at every minute to be a classroom parent, right? So when we hear advocacy overall, that's what we tend to think. But what I wanted to do is to simplify the act of advocacy. And it's as simple as, in my book, introducing yourself. Hey, my name is so and so is my child, and this is how I can be reached. That's for your child. Just knowing that you're available, right?
Okay.
Another part of advocacy is being there and showing up for your child, knowing that knowing that you have their back. That's advocacy simplified. It's
Gotcha.
not this whole entire concept of I got to be at the school 24/7 in order to be an effective parent. That's not true.
Right.
That's what that looks like.
So it's not as time consuming as some people may think it may be. It's really just letting people know, or the teacher know, or the staff know that you're available and you are in your child's corner.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So when is it a process that you walk with the parents through, or do you just equip them with tools to go and do it on their own?
Well, if your child receives a diagnosis, it's a little bit different and it's a little more in depth, right? So part of the process is starting by being an effective parent and being able to be there and showing up. That's the first part of it. But once your child receives a diagnosis, it's a little bit more in depth and a little bit more trivial in that there's jargon involved, there's processes involved in applications you have to fill out, and it can be a bit overwhelming if you've never been through that process before, right? And if you don't have anybody holding your hand. So essentially, I'm there to kind of walk the parent through, okay, what is the diagnosis? Or do you have a diagnosis? If you don't have a diagnosis, what are some of the behaviors that you're seeing?
Okay.
We figure out why those behaviors are showing up. And it might be that we need to get a diagnosis, right?
Gotcha.
Figure out what that looks like and what that process looks like. So it's no case is the same, right? So that's why I typically do consultations with parents, because no case is the same and every child is different.
Okay. Got some more people coming in. See my sister Cheryl in Georgia. Hey, sister. As you guys are coming in, you can jump into the comments and tell us hello. We are doing a giveaway for a service from Emme tonight. I will announce that again in a few moments, but we're going to dive a little deeper. So I saw recently on Facebook that you and your husband just celebrated 17 years. Am I correct?
Yeah. 17 long years.
Yes, 17 years. That's amazing. So congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, you hear different perspectives on marriage from different people. That is work, that is a job, that is what you make it. How has your journey been, especially with adding the factor of having a child that has a diagnosis and then you launching a movement and a business from that to add to the responsibilities of wife and mother?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. So actually, all of the things that you said are true about marriage. The biggest thing that I have learned on my journey is that you can't come into it with any preconceived notions, right? I always thought, the longer that you're with someone, the easier it gets because you feel like you know them, right? And that's not true. Every day, it's like you have to give 100% and your partner has to give 100%. So it's been an amazing journey. I've been blessed enough. We were blessed enough to get married fairly young. So we've been able to grow together, right? And through some storms together. So now that we've been together, like you said, 17 years. Well, we've been married 17 years. We've been together for about 19 years. Almost 19 years. I can't believe that. And in that time, I think we both have just realized that you can't be anyone's happiness, right? So I can't make him happy just like he can't make me happy. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
You are in charge of your own happiness. And
Mm-hmm.
we are partners in this, right? So I shared with him my position on really wanting to be an entrepreneur and what that looked like. And he was there to support me. I'm blessed enough to have a spouse that supports me in that.
Yes.
So yeah, it's been a journey, even with Davin having that diagnosis with ADHD. Like I said, we've been blessed enough to where we can grow together.
Okay.
So we've learned together, arm in arm, weathering the storms of what that looks like, and taking on the challenges that we've had with him. And my daughter was recently diagnosed with ADHD as well.
Okay.
So we feel a little more prepared now, and we know what that
Right.
looks like. Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like you and your husband have learned to work together effectively as a team and developed an amazing support system within your marriage with, like you said, growing together, weathering storms together, approaching life together, and not letting your struggles or trials turn you against one another.
Right. Just acknowledging that, listen, we're both learning in this situation, in these situations, and these different problems that and issues that arise. We're both learning. So neither one of us is perfect. And once we're able to be completely vulnerable in front of each other, like, I don't know what I'm doing, and he can say, I don't know what I'm doing. We're like, okay, we're in this together. Once we're able to do that, I think where, you're unbreakable at that point.
So, did you enter the relationship with that level of grace extended, or was that learned after some bumps in the road?
Yeah, no. No, ma'am. I'm telling you. Gosh, I'm thinking back to when I first got married. I grew up in the church, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was determined to be the Proverbs 31 wife, right?
Okay.
The marriage where I'm gonna we both came into the marriage with expectations. You know, like I said, we were both young. I'm blessed to have my parents as a example of what a good marriage looks like, but we both kind of came into the marriage with expectations of what we thought marriage should be.
Okay.
And so we spent the first few years of our marriage just trying to fit into these expectations that we set for each other, right?
Yes.
So it was just a lot of pivoting. A lot of, okay, that wasn't right. Let me try it this way, right? And so 17 years in, blessed to say that, yeah, I think we pretty much figured it out as in the aspect of the grace department, like you said, giving each other, like, neither one of us is perfect. Neither one of us has it all together. So
Right.
allowing grace for each other, I think we've kind of mastered that aspect.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. That grace is a foundational factor in any relationship, but I know it's, super imperative in marriages for someone that you're going to build a life with. You have to be willing to allow them that grace to grow.
Man, listen, you come into the marriage with a list. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. This better not happen. That better not happen. 17 years in, it don't look like that.
Wow.
A little different.
And it's wonderful too that you said you had your parents as a good example, because you always hear, or not always, but you often hear, keep people out your business, don't tell people what goes on in your house. And I know that is true for a great level of details that go on in your house, but there are times when you're going to need to seek counsel. So to be open to doing that is how something is going to continue to grow and flourish.
I agree. Another lesson that I have to learn too is that, my parents marriage is not my marriage, right? So that was a lesson that had to be learned. Everybody's marriage is different. It looks different for different people, if that makes sense. So
right.
I couldn't be Proverbs 31. I couldn't be that textbook wife because that's not what fit for us. Do you see?
Right.
So we just had to kind of learn to figure out what we look like.
Right. So
Yeah.
as Proverbs 31, you were going in, you was gonna be cooking and sewing and cleaning and businessing. You were ready just to put it all out.
I mean, in my mind, I was, but when we actually entered in the door as husband and wife, it didn't.
It didn't work that way.
In my mind, I was though. That's important.
Right.
I
In
was
your mind, you were bringing Proverbs 31 to the table full force.
right. Yeah.
So, you're married 17 years. The parent pal is 10 years old. And then MYB Consulting comes into play.
Mm-hmm.
How did that second business develop from you already having one thing established?
You know what? I spent a lot of time in my life struggling with being one thing, right?
Mm.
So I always knew that I had all these different gifts and talents that God gave me, but I was like, I need to figure out what is my purpose. We hear people say that all the time. What is my purpose? And if
Mm-hmm.
my purpose is one thing that I'm superb at, that's the only thing I can do. And I struggled with it so much because, like I said, MYB was before Parent Pal, actually. MYB came, was birth. Then the Parent Pal came. Now I'm doing Grace Space, and I really struggle with it. I'm just now in a place to where I'm able to accept that God has gifted me with many talents and with
Mm-hmm.
talent, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so He's gifted me to go through certain experiences to be a blessing to the masses.
Right.
Just comes to that place to where I am okay with doing multiple things.
Okay.
So to answer your question, sorry, I went off on a tangent.
No, you're fine.
To answer your question, I have always been really good with words. I've always been like, the proverbial wordsmith. I've always been good with words, always putting words together, writing resumes. It was just a natural gift of mine.
Mm-hmm.
So really, let me tell you how MYB started. MYB started because everybody was coming to me telling me to write their resumes, right? So I was doing it, and I got tired of it. So I said, I'm gonna start charging people. That means they're not gonna come to me. So I was like, I'm charged. I threw a little number out there, girl. It kept going and going and going. I was like, okay, I'm gonna start something. Let's make this profitable. And so I started at LLC, MYB Consulting, minding your business.
Okay. Okay. So, I know that you offer editing services through MYB. You also offer the bio creation services. What other services are those your two featured services through MYB?
Pretty much anything with words. Whatever that looks like for you, I can do it. So MYB, we have experience with resume writing, bio creation, dissertations. Editing is our biggest service that we offer is editing. Mm-hmm. So we do book editing. We've edited dissertations. We've edited cookbooks. We've edited whatever has words. We can do it, right?
Okay.
So pretty much MYB, minding your business, just stems from putting your best foot forward and making it work.
Gotcha. So, married, 2 businesses, 2 children, and I know you are or were on the praise team at your church, so you are juggling a lot of things. So how do you and when do you prioritize Emme?
We're working on it. So seriously, for me, self-care is hard for all women, but I've just recently come to a place to where I have to practice what I preach, right? So as a therapist, what I'm usually preaching to women is you've got to find time for self-care and take time for yourself. And that's one of the hardest things for me. I'm just going to be transparent. It's one of the hardest things for me to do, but I've been intentional recently in really finding some quiet space, right? Protecting my peace, number one. That's the number one thing.
That's good, protecting your peace.
Yes, but finding some quiet time. So even if it's in my quiet time, if I meditate, if I read, if I journal, if I work on my book, whatever that looks like for me to where I'm pouring all of my mental energy into me, I allow myself that space daily most of the time.
Okay.
30 minutes, you know?
Okay.
So that's pretty much what I try to do. I try to carve out some time to where it's just me. And, you know, sometimes at 4 o'clock in the morning because everybody's still asleep, you know? Maybe it's really late at night, but I do try to be intentional about spending just some me time, quiet time with nothing else but Em, you know? Yeah.
That's good. So, while for those of you that are on, we are doing a giveaway tonight. This is our last segment for May. We fourth segment. So we are wrapping up or concluding the month of May with another giveaway. And as you heard, M is a wordsmith. She has her business MYB Consulting, and one of these services she offers is bio creation. So for those of you that are on here and you may need a professionally written bio, maybe for just to have, you never know what you're going to be a part of, that someone's going to request a bio from you, and you have to submit it. So we're going to gift you, Emma's gifting that service to one of you tonight. So we're doing the same type of contest that we've been doing. A number 1 through 50, drop it in the comments and share the video. Emma's already given me the numbers, so I'll be able to note the winner a little quicker. So the person closest to the number that also shares the video, and you don't have to be local for this gift. So the last 2 gifts were given away from local businesses, but this one you can be anywhere, and qualify to win that bio creation services. And even if you don't have a business right now, you don't have a book right now, you may not think that you need it, but if you have plans to go somewhere and be anybody in the near future, you're going to need a bio. So drop a number in the comments and share the video to qualify for that giveaway. So before we talk about your most recent business venture, as a woman doing all of the things that you were doing with your businesses, your children, your husband, and ministry, was there a time or a moment where you wanted to retreat to the cocoon and no longer be the butterfly?
Child, listen, so God has a way with me of using my experience to help me get to my next business venture, if that makes sense. So
okay,
each of my businesses that I have started has to do with an experience that I have dealt with. Like the Parent Pal, I mean, Book Smarts is great. I do have a master's degree in education, and it's a lot you can learn from that. But I think the best way to be empathetic and authentic is to share your experience, right? So, because then it becomes a matter of the heart. It's not a matter of money, how much you can pay me. It's not a matter of being an opportunist and who can get me on their next platform. Everything that I do is it comes from my heart. I empathize with you. So with that being said, being that I'm such a empathetic, transparent, vulnerable person, with AIDS for Advocacy, that was on a whim. I did not set out to write a book, right? And sharing it with the world was very challenging for me because that was literally my heart put on paper, you know? And sharing your it's something about sharing your insecurities and vulnerabilities on a national stage.
Right.
It makes you not want to be the butterfly anymore, right? It makes you want to be in the cocoon. If I could stay in a cocoon, that's where I would be. Wow. I'm the cheerleader on the sideline, cheering everybody else on. I would much rather, I'm more comfortable being behind the scenes. But like I said, God has a way of taking me through things to where I can't. I have to share my experience.
Wow. So if you had to pick out one of the most transformational experiences that has shaped the M that is being represented today, or the M that I've come to know in the last 2 to 3 years, what was one of your most transformational experiences that you know that had God not pulled you out, we wouldn't have met the M we know today?
But let's see, I mean, the biggest one that comes to mind that I keep thinking about is hearing that your child is not perfect. You know, hearing that your child is
Mm,
not perfect and having to fight, literally fight, um, for your child every single day. I mean, given the current climate
right,
for brown people, we live in a state of anxiety every day.
right,
Okay.
exactly.
So to live in a constant state of anxiety, number one, for being a black boy, not
Mm-hmm.
only that, for him to have a learning disability and me having to fight for him every single day. I don't think anybody understands that unless you've been through it. And
Mm,
me talking to women that are going through that same thing, hearing them say, "You did it," that that's my payoff. And that's when I know that, okay, God, you have me here and I'm going to be obedient and continue
mm,
to work that out. Because, like I said, you can't put words to it. Having to
mm.
fight for your child every day, having to fight for somebody else to see the potential that you see in your child,
Wow.
the constant phone calls, the constant emails saying that your child will never be,
Mm,
that's tough, you know?
right,
So I
right.
know had it not been for God pushing me out to walk out this movement,
Mm-hmm.
given up a long time ago. This thing
Wow.
is easy. It's
Yeah,
easy.
yeah. So I think there's two things I want to ask here. The first thing that I was going to ask, but you kind of segue into it a little bit for me. With you being married to an African American man and having an African American son, how are you doing in this moment?
If I were to be completely honest with you, I would have to say that I wake up every morning triggered. Honestly, I
Mm,
live in a constant state of anxiety now because my son is not in school, but my husband is a UPS driver.
mm,
Um,
wow.
so he goes into these rural communities and knocks on doors. And, so when he doesn't call me, or when he's not at home, when he says he's going to be at home, or when he doesn't answer his phone, or any of those things, I live in a constant state of heightened anxiety because I know that
Mm,
the color of his skin is a threat.
right.
Him being the color that he is a threat.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do live in a constant state of anxiety. My son is about to go and get his license. He's getting his beginner's permit.
Mm.
I am scared. I mean, honestly, I'm
Yeah,
scared.
I understand. I asked that question because I have brothers and nephews. Many of my friends have children, and my nephews have sons. So, from a perspective of a wife and a mother, where you are looking for these people to come back into your home at the conclusion of the evening, it's like, how I just wanted to ask, how are you feeling? Because I know I did not watch either video of the most recent happenings, but the picture that's currently circulating of the incident in Missouri is devastating. So, yeah, I can't even imagine having someone in my home that has to go in and out daily, and my heart is pulled or tugged every time they leave.
Right.
Um, just wanted to hear it from someone who's up close and personal with it, with a husband and a son. What are your feelings? What are your thoughts? And yeah, I can only imagine the level of anxiety that you feel in that situation.
Yeah.
So, your most recent venture is Grace Space Counseling Group. So you've added a third layer. And so, and it almost kind of looks like every chain was linking together, from being a special education teacher to a high school counselor, advocating for parents. The wordsmith thing is in there, all encompassing under the umbrella, but now you actually offer counseling as the lead therapist at Grace Space. So what made you add that third layer, third business to your already full life?
So I'm transparent with you tonight. So this one is the freshest wound, I guess you can say. So honestly, that was birth from experience. My last position as a high school counselor was not an easy one. And I think many that are on the line today can relate to what it means to be an African American female in corporate America. Because of the color of our skin, we're viewed as a threat. We're viewed as difficult to work with. I mean, we're just being who we are. I feel like we're labeled. So my last position was not an easy position for me to keep. To just given the daily, for lack
challenges.
of challenges that I faced, and it was tough because I felt like it was me against them. I had nobody there. I had nobody. Education, and I think your viewers can actually understand this as well. But education is a culture in itself. Working in the field of education, what I came to find out was it's a culture.
Okay.
And some of your viewers will know what I mean when I say that. It's a culture in itself. And basically it's kind of like, you find your place and you sit and you stay there,
Okay.
Me being who I am, and the Lord made me, and He knows this. I'm just not the fall into place kind of person. I just bought a sign a picture that I put into my living room, and it says, "Create the things you wish existed." That is so my mentality, right? It's all about change. I don't just do things just because that's the way we do things. No, like, what are we working towards?
Yeah.
Never been a fall in line type of person. So, needless to say, the 2 years that I worked there, it was tough. And so I felt like I didn't have anybody. And my mental health was deteriorating because it was just me. So that came grace-based counseling group. And what I aim to do is to bring mental health into the workplace for those that you don't think about. When I started out on this journey, you think about your first responders. They see death every day.
Yes.
They don't have a therapist on site.
Right.
When you think about 911 operators, who they hear and talk to all day long and never have a sense of closure because they don't talk to these people after that. That's mentally taxing, right? Or someone working in education who deals with students who are committing suicide left and right. What about, so we when I worked at the school system, we used to bring in a team of therapists to work with the students. But we never really thought about the teacher who taught that student. What are they doing?
Yeah, that's good.
I tapped into what about the other people that we're not thinking about. So I essentially set out to bring therapy into the workplace. Number one, to touch those people that we don't think about, but number two, to normalize it in the workplace sector, to normalize it, because mental health is definitely a stigma. People think that you only see a therapist when something's wrong. We just talked about some of the issues, the real issues that we're dealing with today. COVID-19, it's stressful. People walking out the door and trying to figure out, am I going to make it home and be okay?
Right.
Just your day to day is very important. So mental health is of the utmost importance, and that's what I aim to do, is to bring it to the workplace and to normalize it. Embrace your gray space is what I always say.
Okay. So, are you mobile to where when you go see people, you go to where they are, or do you have a location where they can come see you? They have the option to do either.
Well, mobile. With COVID-19, some of the insurance companies have become more lax in the way that we implement mental health and therapy. So currently, I am doing telehealth. So we're able to do it virtually. But I do have a location in Greenville. It's at 501 West Butler Road.
Okay.
It's an office building. So typically I see clients there, and I will be beginning to see clients again face to face June 1.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So thank you so much for everything that you shared. You shared some amazing nuggets, and I think that for those that are on the call, um, you brought out, some very good points. Protecting your peace, um, finding the thing that drives you, your purpose, and not fitting into the normalization that everyone wants to kind of pinpoint you into. So as you get ready to move forward with moving, going back to face counseling with Great Space, how are you feeling about that with the unknowns, with what's still out with COVID-19?
Well, I'm taking necessary precautions. Still be doing, protective footwear and sanitizing everything. So I'm taking the necessary precautions. But at the end of the day, I do realize that we have to return to some sense of normalcy. I think there's going to be a new normal, but
Right.
we have to return at some point to some sense of normalcy. The good thing about mental health is that it's one-on-one. So it's not,
Mm-hmm.
a large group of people,
Mm-hmm.
one-on-one, so we can contain that a little bit better, which makes me feel a little bit better about
Okay.
getting back into the, swing of things. Seeing people
Okay.
face, yeah.
So, last question before we get ready to wrap up. With you now having essentially three businesses, along with just personal life, being a woman, what is your day-to-day approach to making sure that everything gets its proper attention from M?
Honestly, I'm going to go back and say protect your peace. I think your peace is pivotal in being able to show up as your whole authentic self in any role that you play, as a mom, as a business owner of three businesses, right? In each
Mm-hmm.
business, I have to show up as my whole self in order to be effective. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I would say protecting my peace, and what that looks like is only allowing into my space what, and giving mental energy to things that are going to serve, that are not going to disrupt my peace. If I feel like it's going to disrupt my peace, I don't even allow it into my space. And
Mm-hmm.
I am okay with that.
Okay.
Years ago, I know I wasn't, I was the yes person, yes to everything, even if it made me feel a certain way, or even if I was uneasy about it. I just felt like, God wants me to be a server, and so
Mm.
I'm going to serve as much as I can. But now I'm at a place to where I have so much self love that I know that if it's going to disrupt that peace within inside of me, I don't need to be doing it, and I'm okay with saying, I'm going to pass this time.
Mm.
Say the number one rule is to protect your peace at all times, because
Okay.
that's my promise.
Okay. Wow. So, the final question that I always ask, and I'm going to give the requirements for the giveaway before we do the last question, and we share your contact information. So for those of you that are listening, if you have not already done so, we are giving away a bio creation service from M. So that means she helps you or creates a professionally edited, presentable biography for you. So whether you are currently in an endeavor or know that you're going to have some future endeavors, that is a service that you will need at some point. So the requirements to qualify for winning that is M has given me a number between 1 through 50. So you need to drop a number in the comments under this video, the person who is closest to that number, and also share the video, you would have the opportunity to win that. You can enter only one time. So drop a number 1 through 50, share the video, and then you will be gifted a bio creation service from M's Business MYB Publishing. So the last piece of information or last bit of information that I want you to share with everyone is, if you had to inspire from any point or place or any experience, because you've shared that many of your businesses have been launched from your experiences. So if you had to encourage someone that's listening from the point of being a wife of 17 years, a mother of 2 children that both have received a diagnosis, or a business owner now 3 times over, what point of inspiration or encouragement would you share for people who don't feel like they could do what you do? Or just, and it doesn't even have to be that specific. I don't even want to pigeonhole it that much. So whatever you feel led to share in this moment as a point of inspiration or encouragement, I'll open it up to you to share.
The biggest one that I always seem to come back to, is actually on my Facebook page. It's my cover. It's my cover page on my Facebook. Is authenticity speaks louder than perfection. When you show up as your people, number one, people are attracted to authenticity. They're attracted to when you're genuine, right? And I honestly feel like when you're authentic, that's when you're serving your purpose. When you're walking in authenticity and showing up as, look, this is me. And first of all, it shows that you're free. You're not in bondage, right? I'm not.
I love it.
I told you when we were talking about coming on tonight, I was like, listen, my life is an open book. It's nothing. Hey, this is what you see is what you get. And, you live free. But also, showing up authentically means that you don't have to put on any mask. You don't have to figure out how I'm going to act when I go into this room versus how will I look when I'm with this person. It's just,
come on, Em.
Look, and who I am. Who you see right here is who you're going to see at church. It's who you're going to see with my friends. It's who you're going to see in front of my coworkers.
Yes.
In the almost 40 years of my living, the greatest thing that I have learned is that being authentic is a new sense of freedom that I can't even explain. It's freedom to where you just go up, and it's
right.
I love it. So I think that would be the biggest nugget, is that just to be authentic, show up as you and nobody else.
Yes. I absolutely love that. Authenticity is better than perfection. Yes, I love it. Yes, that way you ain't got to figure out who you need to be based off of the crowd. That is amazing. So thank you for sharing that. And yeah, I totally agree. There is such a liberation and freedom and being able to show up as you, and then to be around people who encourage you to just show up as you. Yeah, it's there's nothing like it. So amazing. So thank you for sharing that. So if people want to get in contact with you, we'll kind of take it piece by piece. Let's start with the parent. How can they connect or follow you if they are interested in the advocacy piece that you offer through the Parent Pal?
So the Parent Pal on webpage is theparentpal.com. Feel free to head over there, peruse the website. You can contact me and email me through there as well. And I also have a Facebook page for the Parent Pal and a Facebook group. So just search the Parent Pal on Facebook. You can find me there, or you can always just search M. Smith and direct message me there as well.
Okay. So theparentpal.com. Also, you have a Facebook page. So what about with MYB Publishing? So if you need editing or any wordsmith services of any kind, how would they contact you under that umbrella?
So MYB is a little more informal, but you guys can find MYB Professional Consulting Services on Facebook. I have a Facebook page, so you can direct message me there, and I'll be able to contact you there. Or again, just hit me up in my DM, slide into my DM. We can chat there as well.
Okay. And lastly, of course, Grace Based Counseling Group. Am
Mm-hmm.
I saying it right? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Gray Space Counseling Group. Um, Contact information for Gray Space.
Again, we have a Facebook page for Gray Space. You can search on Facebook, but we also have a website. It's grayspacecounseling.com. Feel free to find me there. You can leave me a message and I will contact you. You can also schedule a session there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Parent Pal, MYB Publishing, and or Gray Space Counseling Group are the three businesses that M founded and operates. You can connect with her directly on Facebook as M Smith, EMME Smith. And we are just so very grateful for you sharing with us tonight. I think
Thank you for having
just from some of the comments that I've seen, that some of the stuff that you've shared has already began to help some of the ladies that are on the call. So I am so, so grateful that you said yes. So very grateful that you were willing to share a piece of your story to help someone else, because that's what this platform is for women who don't mind sharing what they have journeyed through to help someone else move through the same thing. And we want to encourage and we want to inspire. So I want to thank you guys that are online with us listening in. Thank you for joining in. Um, we will be back next week. The month of June, my first three sessions are actually moving to Thursday instead of Wednesday, but I will post that when I post the announcement. I had to make some scheduling accommodations for my guests, but please believe me, you don't want to miss these interviews. So thank you again so much. Em, thank you. You can stay in the studio as we get ready to conclude. Those of you that are watching, again, thank you for joining. Thank you for your consistency. We appreciate your support and have a good night.
Night.